Hey, it's Dave, and got another wine for you today. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl, and I was trying to find something that would be a tie-in for Super Bowl, and I couldn't. I didn't try that hard. I forgot about Ditka wines. I think they're still around, though it's a pretty dated reference at this point, and there are some pro football players who own wineries, at least have their name on wines, but, these guys make, $18 million a year, and it's all high-end Napa stuff. You're paying a small fortune for their wines. They're not really where we're at with wines. So, and there was Footbolt, which is a Shiraz from Australia, but I think that's the name of a horse. So I couldn't, maybe it was a touchdown wine somewhere, but I didn't look that hard. I don't live in Kansas City and I don't live in San Francisco. I'll watch the game, but when you can't find a football-related wine, what do? Well, I grabbed a Chardonnay. And what I have here is what I haven't done before, at least in a long, long time. I went and checked the website, and we have like 2,000 wines in there. And I didn't find it, but it's the Sean Miner 4B Chardonnay 2018 Central Coast. And they've been around for a while, I think 2003. You might remember them when they were the Four Bears wine. The story goes that they started out making wine. They don't own their own vineyards. That's common in California. 50% of all wineries in California don't even own their own facilities, or much less their vineyards. They buy grapes from vineyards, contract grapes, and they rent out. I'm not sure what Sean Miner does, but they've been around a long time and they have a track record. And if you know how to make wine and you know someone who knows how to grow grapes, that works. You don't have to be able to do both. It's like with the high-end wines, you kind of want the vineyard to be a part of the winery, and you follow that vineyard through the decades and stuff. But when you're doing California Chardonnay, I think I found this one from $9.99. It's on sale. I think their list price for this was $16. List prices online on the websites are usually higher. They don't want to compete with the stores, so they go a little bit higher. So the stores don't have a competition from themselves. And I'm going to take a little sip here because this is one of those wines that got just the right amount of acidity that makes you kind of want to take a sip. And I kind of want to take a sip. And it's just a Central Coast, different vineyards. It's kind of nice. It's really nice. It's one of those wines that has a little bit of everything going, which I think really works well for value-priced wine. And it's got a little bit of it's fermented in oak barrels, French oak barrels, and the rest was fermented, not a little bit, I'm not sure the proportions, but a smaller amount was in the oak barrels and a larger part was in the stainless steel. And then it was aged the same way, and then went through malolactic fermentation. If you like Chardonnay, is something you should know. And what that is, there is a tart grape, I think it's the malo of the name, is a tart acid that is in all grapes. And like if you ever have a Pinot Grigio or, even Sauvignon Blanc, the tartness is really refreshing. You like that. But when you're doing a little bit of oak and you're rounding the flavors off and you're making it a little creamy, you want to kind of make the wine a little bit smoother and creamy too. It goes well together. Now, malolactic fermentation happens almost every time in red wine. You don't want, there might be tart red wines out there that they don't want to do malolactic, but it would be rare to find one. Most of them do malolactic just all the time. And then for white wines, it's pretty much Chardonnay and maybe Chenin Blanc. But, and not every time. You don't have to do every time. And here they only do a portion. So they do malolactic because only a portion of it went under French oak aging. Only a portion needs to go under malolactic fermentation. And I think I tasted Anlise. Anlise is when they leave the the dead yeast, and a little bit of grape residue in with the wine when it ages and during fermentation when it ages. And they stir it every so often, and it adds a salty cashew-like flavor. It's one of those flavors that if you look for it, if you know it's going to be a wine that might have it, you can find it. But if you don't find it, it's like, what is that? That's salt. I don't know. But so Anlis, malolactic fermentation, and some oak, and not, they don't oak the whole thing. They don't malolac the whole thing, just a bit of it. So you're getting you're getting a little bit of unoaked Chardonnay along with oak Chardonnay. You're getting a little bit of malolactic Chardonnay with no malolactic Chardonnay. So you're getting 4 different things in one wine, which kind of gives it some complexity right off the bat. And it also gives you 4 different flavors to deal with right off the bat, all from the same grapes. So it's a nice way to give your wine some complexity and some interest while still being, affordable. Like I said, I think I found this for under $10, and it's just a pretty nice little wine. And Central Coast, I remember there's a time when everybody was writing about wine. If you want to get bargain wines, look for Chilean wines, and South American, Argentinian Malbec. And yeah, I mean, they did have good wines, and they were inexpensive. But most places that were really bringing affordable wines, like Australia, had all these inexpensive Chardonnay, or not Chardonnays, Shiraz. And they in South Africa had a bunch of brands that were inexpensive, and they kind of disappeared or are less than what they used to be. Because if you got to ship wine that far, you really don't want to be America's cheap wine provider. You want to go a little bit upscale, make it more worth your while to send the wines over here. And the Central Coast is a really great place for inexpensive wine. I mean, there's varied growing areas in there, and there's because it's partly coastal, partly blocked off from the coast. There's warm, there's cold, there's valley, there's plateaus, there's mountains. You get everything over there. And there's some really high end areas, and then there's just regular places where you get really great little everyday Chardonnays. And I'm not sure where these came from, so they don't tell you who's their growers are. But whoever it is did a really good job. You don't need to be the most famous growing area in the world to make a everyday drink it now wine. If you're going to buy the wine, take it home, pop the top. If you're getting it from Bordeaux, if you're getting it from Napa, if you're getting it from Rioja, you're kind of wasting your money. Those wines really are those areas making wines that you're supposed to put away for a while. There's a lot of areas that make really great, inexpensive, everyday pop the top and drink them wines that you shouldn't be spending a lot of money for. And this is one of them. This is great. Sean Miner does make all sorts of, they have a whole bunch of wines. They go all the way up to single-vineyard Pinot Noirs. Most of the wines are, under $20 and affordable, but they can go up higher. They know how to make wine, and they know how to pick out vineyards, and that's half the battle with these things. I'm going to have another sip because I'm coming to the end, and I'm getting parched from talking. So there you go. It's a really nice Chardonnay. I like it. It's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And it doesn't cost much. It tastes great. It's a tasty little wine. It's got really good acidity. Makes you want to sip it. It's kind of sneaky. Makes your brain go more. And that's good enough for me. So until next time, I think I got a Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles coming up from one of my favorite wineries. We'll be doing that maybe around Monday or so. So come back and see us and read us. And that's cheapwinefinder.com. I sometimes forget to say that too often because that's who we are. And why am I doing this without pushing who he is? So adios. Bye-bye. And I'll talk to y'all in a couple days. Bye-bye.